Welcome all the viewers in third day lecture series of biostatistics and research methodology. Myself Amit Sharma, working as associate professor and head department of pharmacy practice. So today we are going to take two different topics. The one is student t-test and another one is ANOVA, analysis of variance. One way. So before I start, I'll just take the queries of yesterday. We have got multiple queries. The first one is Shaheen Naz. She want to ask about what was the difference between paired and unpaired variables and little more. See, Shaheen, paired means whenever you are conducting a study which is having a uh, examples of that means you have taken a data which belongs to the previous group. For example, any study which is having a condition like before and after. That means once you have taken the data and after that you have done the counseling of the patient and again you are taking the data and you are going to compare your own data which you have taken second time with the first time. So that will kind of example you can take for the paired sample t-test, whereas the unpaired test are student t-test, independent t-test, where one time observation will be taken and that we are going to analyze. So any study which having the condition before and after, for that case you can say that means you have taken the readings two times. For that case you can say that is the paired type of data. Second question is Mrs. Kiran. She's from South India. She's asking about the what do you mean by missing values. Missing values in SPSS means it is not necessary that we will get all the data when we are going to enter the data in a SPSS sheet. For example, if you are conducting a animal study and during the animal study your animal died due to any reason, so in that case what you are going to do, you are going to keep all those column for that particular animal will be blank. Clear? So you are not going to enter data in that columns. So before doing statistical analysis you are going to apply a command in SPSS called as missing value command. What will happen, all those missing uh, values will be converted into a code called 999, and the person who are using SPSS software worldwide, they know that 999 missing is the missing value. So why we are using missing value, whenever you are going to do the calculation part, so that animal will not be included into a 100%. So that is about the missing value, and I will let you know that how to apply the command for the missing value in the further classes. One more question, Mr. Deep Charan. He is requesting that kindly share the filled data sheets of SPSS so that we can practice. Mr. Deep Charanji, I'm going to send all these data sets based upon the different tests. For example, I have written data set 2.1, data set 2.3, 2.4 to all the candidates by mail whenever we are going to finish with all the series. One more question we have from the Ujala Mishra. She is a M.Pharm student. She's saying that I'm not able to understand what will be the plots and histogram of my data, and how I can correlate plot and histogram for pharmaceutics. See, not only for the pharmaceutics, any kind of data, by which mean you are going to do the statistical analysis, you are going to get a graphs, and graphs will represent that which kind of data you are having. For example, you are asking specially about the plot and histogram. So plot and histogram will be plotted in case of ANOVA, mainly in case of test for the normality distribution. It will let you know that what is the trend of your data. Clear? So by seeing the trend of your data, you can estimate that your data is normal or your data is not normal. For example, if your data is normal, it will help you out to find the exact measurement of central tendency. That means you have to apply the mean or you have to apply the median to justify your numbers in the form of measurements. And she was asking that either I can use the descriptive statistics and the analytical statistics in pharmaceutics. Yes, Ujala, you can use both type of statistics in MPharm pharmaceutics also. For example, whenever you are conducting a research in pharmaceutics lab, so descriptive statistics can be used to describe the variables. For example, that how many formulation you have made, formulation contains what, which kind of excipient you have used. All these things will be written in the descriptive statistics. And if you want to find out that which formulation is the best amongst A, B, and C, that time you have to apply the analytical statistics to justify that A is better than B or B is better than C, like that. So both type of analytics can be used in the pharmaceutics. One more question from Jamuna TR. She was asking that what was the difference between the nominal scale and the ordinal scale, and if we have a question like yes or no for that particular type of data, which measurement will be used? See, nominal type of measures will be used where you have given some options to choose, as you have asked that for any question which is having two options like yes and no, so which measurement will be used? For yes and no questions, you can use the nominal type of measurement in the SPSS, but scale will be used only for the numbers which contains units. For example, you have a weight, you have a BMI, you have a HbA1c, fasting blood sugar, or any lab value which you're taking and which contains the measurement. For those you can use the scale. Ordinal can be used for the numbers but does not contain any unit. For example, basically we used to call this one as a ranking order. For example, you have a 30% uh, uh, 30 students in your class, and who got first rank, second rank, and third rank. Or if 10 students are running uh, in a race, so who got first rank, third rank, or fourth rank? This is the example of the ordinal order. For example, if I want to give you, I can give like serial numbers. Serial number you are giving in research, that serial number 1 2 3 4 5. So all these things will be counted as a ordinal order, which does not contain any units. Darshana, she was asking that how I can get the SPSS. Darshana, you can download the SPSS software from the IBM website, a company called IBM website. So they have made a different versions. Every year they are releasing one version. So version from 16 to 20 is free of cost. And if you're going to higher version, you have to pay for that near about 40,000 rupees. And even student version is available. So student can use that one with the prior permission of IBM. And if you are downloading the version number 25 or 26, it will run only for 30 days as a trial version, free of cost. So many inquiries we are getting regarding the certificates, that we are going to get a certificate for this program, for this lecture series or not. So I will tell to all the viewers that still we have not decided that we are going to distribute the certificates or not, because we have got more than 2800 registration from the 18 countries. So it is very difficult to give one certificate by mail to all the candidates. Even I was looking for the facility that by which mean by a single click we can give the certificate or not. I have got the option, but it can deliver only 100 certificates in a day. So I don't think so we can go for that. So many questions regarding the PPT also, that sir, please send the PPT. So PPT will be made available in our institute website, and I will also share in the my slide share account. So see what problem I am getting. Whenever we are sending a mails to all participants, we are getting a junk mails, because most of the candidates, what they have did while entering the email ID, either they have used the caps, or either .com is not completed. Some kind of mistakes are there in the email. So what I suggest, we will upload all the PPTs in the institute website. From there you can download, and we will let you know that when we have downloaded, and you can start downloading from our institute website. So remaining question I will answer by emails only, because we are getting a delay. So I'll start today's topic. The first one, uh, I'm going to take independent t-test with the help of SPSS. I'll share my screen to you. Uh, I hope it's visible. So, uh, compare two means, also called as independent t-test. Now, what is the significance of this test? This test we can use when we want to find out that mean of one group is similar to another group, or there is a difference in the means. So actually what we are going to do with this test, we are going to compare the means of two different kind of population. And I'm going to use a dataset 2.1 for this one. So if anyone want to practice, they can open 2.1 when I will make available all the data sets to you. So if we like to compare mean of example, I'm taking plasma glucose level. We have a diabetic population and we want to find out that plasma glucose level of males or females are similar, or there is a difference in the plasma glucose level of the population or not. Clear? For that purpose, we can apply the independent sample t-test. Now, why I have chosen this test for this study? Because we have only two different kind of population. The population number one is male, and population number two is female. And independent sample t-test can be applied where two samples are there. So when I'm saying that two samples, that means one sample is our male and two sample is female. For the pharmaceutics person or pharmacology person, that means if you want to evaluate two different drugs, that means you have two drugs, drug A and drug B, you can apply this test. But this test will be applicable only if the data which you have entered in the form of numbers, that means the level of plasma glucose is normally distributed. So what are the assumptions for this test? Assumptions means by which rules we have decided that we can go for compare two mean test or independent sample t-test. Obviously, we know that all the test is having the independent variables and the dependent variables. Here, independent variable will be the gender and dependent variable will be the plasma glucose level. Clear? So to apply independent sample t-test, the independent variable should be categorical order. That means the data should be available in the form of category, and category should have more than one. That means at least you should have a two different category. For a here, I have taken the example of male and female. So one sample is male, another sample is female, and dependent variable should be given in the form of numbers only. Here I have taken the example of plasma glucose, which is a numerical variable. That means the data which I have entered in the SPSS sheet for the plasma glucose in the form of number like 5.5, 5.6, 5.7, 5.8 like that. And when I have applied the test for the normality distribution to this particular variable called plasma glucose, which is a dependent variable, I have found that the data was found normal. So I have decided that I can go for the independent sample t-test, and the results will be sorry, represented in the form of mean only. Clear? So these are the steps by which mean you can apply the independent sample t-test through SPSS. Uh, Viewers can take a screenshot of this one if you want to practice afterwards. First of all, we have to click on the analyze. Then we can click on the compare mean. Compare mean is the command for the all the parametric tests. For example, one sample, independent, and ANOVA, even paired sample t-test. What we have to do after clicking on the independent sample t-test, we have to move the glucose into test variable and gender into the grouping variable box. Just you have to remember that independent variable should be added to grouping variable box and dependent variable should be added to the test variable box, because we want to find out and we want to see the effect of independent variable into a dependent variable. After that, we have to click define groups, because Like yesterday, I told you that we are doing a coding for the gender. So type 0 for group 1 and 1 for group 2. For example, when I have done the coding, I have used two different codes. The first code is 0 and second code is 1. So it does not matter that which code you are going to give to 1. For example, 0 I have used for females and 1 I have used for the males. So you have to tell the software and that you are going to see the effect of glucose. That means the what was the difference between the mean glucose level of male and the female, because the code for the gender is here I have used 0 and the 1, 0 for female and 1 for the male. After that you can click continue, and finally you can click OK, so that results will be represented in front of you. So how to do it? We will do this test by both the modes, by manually as well as through the help of SPSS software. So how to do it? First of all, we have to click on analyze. If we click on analyze, we will get this window. In this window, we will have a multiple option. We can click on compare mean. If you click on compare mean, another window will open, this one. And in this window, there is an option called independent sample t-test, and this window contains all the examples of the parametric test. For example, if your data was found normally distributed, you can go for this test, and I will let you know that what was the difference between all these tests. One sample t-test can be applied when only one sample is there. Independent sample t-test can be applied when you have a two sample, like today we are doing. We have a two sample, one is male and second one is female, and paired sample t-test will be applied for the study where population is the same but you have taken the reading two times. Whereas a one way ANOVA can be applied where you will have sample more than two. For example, you have a three sample or four sample or three or four drugs to evaluate. So for independent sample t-test, you have to click on independent sample t-test. After that, you are going to get a window of independent sample t-test. Left hand side, you can see that all the variable which I have made for the sheet or the data set 2.1. Clear? From this sheet, you have to take gender and the glucose into test variable and the grouping variable. So by this tab, you can move the variable from left side to right side. I'll show you in the next slide. You can see here, I have moved both the variables, uh, glucose into the test variable, and grouping variable I have added the gender, but it is showing a question mark. That means I have not defined the variable. I have not tell the software that which codes I have used for male and which code I have used for the female. Just we don't have to tell that 0 we have to use for female and one we have used for the male. Just we have to tell this thing, we have to enter this thing that we have used two code. The first code is 0 and second code is 1. So for that purpose, you have to click on define groups here. So whenever you will click on the define groups, you are going to get a this window, and it will ask you that use specified value which you have used while making the codes. So we will tell that group number 1 is 0 and group number 2 is the 1. But here we don't have to write female or the male, just we have to write the code which we have made while making the sheet. So after you will define the codes, just click on continue. If you click on continue, you are going to get the results of one sample independent t-test. So the first table which will be given by the software, that will be the group statistics. What it is going to give you, first of all, it will give you that data is representing for what. Data is representing for the blood glucose level and how many person we have, a capital N. That means we have enrolled 83 females and the 67 male. We are going to get a mean. That mean of mean glucose level of female was found to be 5.6 and male glucose level was found to be 5.4. So somehow similar, not that much difference. And we are going to get the standard deviation 1.3 for the female and 1.2 for the female. So this is called a group statistics. So whenever you are going to write a descriptive statistics for this test, you are going to write these things, that N for female was found to be 83 and N for the male was found 67. Mean was found to be this and standard deviation was found to be 1.3 and 1.2. Next table will give the statistics of the independent sample t-test. Clear? So I want to tell one thing to you, that for each test we have to calculate the degree of freedom, and degree of freedom for this test is n minus 2. For example, the sample size which we have taken for this test is 150. Clear? And we are getting a degree of freedom 148. So that means data of all the patient you have entered correctly, and you are getting a degree of freedom 148. That is n minus 2. 150 minus 2 is equal to 148. So what we are going to get in this table, the first box will be the test for Leibniz for equality of variance. Clear? What this test suggests, this test suggests that either you are eligible for the independent uh, sample t test or not. For example, the value of this test for Leibniz should be more than 0.05. I'll repeat again. The value for the Leibniz test should be more than 0.05. That means you were eligible to apply the independent sample t-test. For example, here if you got the value less than 0.05, you cannot publish the results of independent sample t-test as per the rule of statistics. So the this value test for Leibniz should be more than 0.05. So we have got 0.06. That means we are eligible to write the results of the independent sample t-test. And here you can see we got the value of t also. We have got the degree of freedom, and we got the significant value, and significant value we are getting here 0.493, which is more than 0.05. So whenever we will apply a independent sample t-test, the cutoff point is 0.05. So our value should be less than 0.05. See, test for Leibniz value should be more than 0.05, and independent sample t-test value should be less than 0.05. So here we got 0.493. So we can say that we are not able to reject the null hypothesis, and there is no difference in the mean of both the groups. And here we also we can see that what was the difference between both the groups, that means male and female, is showing 0.15, a very little uh, difference in mean of both the groups. So if we found more numbers, that means difference is bigger, we can find the significant results. For example, if there is a difference of 10, 15 or 20 digits, we can say that that time we will get a value less than 0.05. So this example I have taken to elaborate the independent sample t-test. So what are the things we are going to add in the research paper? In the research paper, we can add uh, the value of n, we can add the mean, we can add the standard deviation, we can add the degree of freedom, and the significant value of the independent sample t-test. So just remember, students are doing mistake, they used to take this value, but this value is going to represent the test for Leibniz. So what we have to do, we have to take the value of significant where two tailed is written. Clear? So these things can be taken for the research report writing. Let you know that how the results will be written as per the MLA handbook style. The first table which I've shown you, that shows the group statistics, and this will describe the summary of mean between the male and female, that what was the mean glucose level in male and what was the mean glucose level in female was there, and what was the standard deviation. So how to write the results of first table? You can write, it shows that the mean glucose level for female is just slightly higher than for males. You can write the both value, 5.6 versus 5.5 millimole per liter. Clear? So this is the example by which mean how to write the results of the group statistics, which is given in the first table. You can add the standard deviation also. I have not added in the presentation. So second line you can write about the test for Leibniz. The test for Leibniz for equality of variance shows p-value. You can write, you can take from the table 0.0665. We can assume that the variance are equal. That means the equal importance has been given while applying the test to male and the female. So if you got p-value less than 0.05 here in test for Leibniz, you are not eligible to write the results of the independent t-test. That means you cannot apply the test only. So like this you can write, and how the results will be written directly. You can quote the mean difference also, and directly you can write that test was found not significant, and we are not able to reject the null hypothesis. Here null hypothesis says what? Null hypothesis says that mean of both group are similar. Clear? So aim of this objective was to reject the null hypothesis, that we are assuming while applying this test that there is a difference in the mean of both the groups, male and the female. But after applying the test, we found that mean of male and the mean of female are somehow similar. So we can write that uh, test was found not significant, and we are not able to reject the null hypothesis, and we have to accept the alternative. So like these results will be written in the MLA style. You can discuss about mean NSD. You can discuss about the degree of freedom, p-value of Leibniz, and the p-value of the t-test. So how to do it manually? Here is the formula for the independent sample t-test. Obviously, we are going to calculate the t. The t is equal to x bar 1 minus x bar 2 divided by standard deviation of x bar 1 minus x bar 2. So here x bar means the first group and x bar 2 is the second group. For example, x bar 1 is the male, and here x bar 2 is the female, and the standard deviation of x bar 1 minus x bar 2. So here in this test, what we are doing, in one sample t-test, we are comparing the mean of one sample only with the study conducted by other person, and as a test value we are taking a uh, number from the other person research. Here in this test, we are conducting a study within our study only. So one the group first group which we have is male, and the second group which we have is the female. So both group is representing to your study only. So you are not going to compare your results with anyone. So both the sample which you have taken is within your study only. So blue line is representing to your first group, and red line is representing to your second group. So technically the formula for the independent sample t-test is this one: t is equal to x bar 1 minus x bar 2 minus mean of first group and the mean of second group divided by standard deviation of x bar 1 minus x bar 2. So here I have taken the example that how to do it if you want to do it manually. So for example, we have two groups, the two data sets, data set A and B. And like this examiner is going to give you in the exam. is going to give you this line, that calculate an independent sample t-test for the following data sets. So data sets will be written, numbers will be written like I have written 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, and 6. This is for the, for example, take for the male, and this is for the female. So any of them you can take. So I'm taking the example of A and B. So one group is A and second group is B. So how to do it? Four different steps we have to follow to apply the stats on independent sample t-test. First of all, we have to calculate the sum of both the groups. So the sum of A was found to be 35 and sum of B was found to be 50, and we know that both the group is having a 10-10 numbers. That means n is equal to 10 in group A and n is equal to in group B. Clear? So in first step you have to calculate the sum of both the groups separately, and you have to see that how many readings are there or how many observations are there in each group. So in group A we got 10 observation, and in group B we got the 10 observation. In step 2 we have to scale the sum of step 1. That means the square of 35 is 1225 and square of 50 is 2500. So we got these value. So set these number aside for a moment. So what we will do, whenever we are going to add these value into a formula, that time we will use the value which we have got in step 1 and in step 2. So in third step, what we have to do, we have to calculate the mean of both the groups. We have to calculate the mean of both the groups. So we know that in step 1 we have calculated that the sum of group A is 35 and total observation was 10. So we got the mean 3.5. And for the second group, the sum is 50 divided by 10, and uh, observation was 10 in group B. So we got the mean 5. So three things we have calculated so far in three different steps. I will repeat again. In step 1, we have calculated the sum. In step 2, we have calculated the square of sum, that means square of 35 and square of 50. We got these value. And in step 3, we have calculated the mean for both the groups. Clear? So after getting all these things, we have to follow a fourth step, which is the last step. We have to find the square of individual score. Then we can add them together. That means each reading you have to scale separately. Square of 1, square of 2, square of 2, then 3 ka square, 3 ka square, 4 ka square, 4 ka square. Like this, if you do, we are getting a value 145 and 298. Clear? In step 4. So we will keep this aside for a moment, and this is the explanation of all the values which I have added into a formula. For example, you can see here in step 1 we have calculated a sum of data set A and sum of data set B. This will be represented with a formula called sum of A square and sum of B square. The mean which we have calculated in step 3, this will be represented as mean of A and mean of B, and the things which we have calculated in step 4, that is sum of square of data set A and B, will be represented as sum of A square and sum of B square, and that we can take from the step 4. And we know that from the beginning that in each group we will have a 10-10 numbers. So while explanation of the formula will be represented as this, and I will add all the values in this formula. Here you can see that I have added all the values in this formula. That means 3.5 is the mean of group 1 and 5 is the mean of group 2. So 3.5 minus 5 divided by square root of, here you can see uh, this is the sum of squared and this is the individual sum of squared of each group divided by 10, and 10 is the number of observation in group A, and this is for the group B divided by 10 plus 10 minus 2. Here 10 plus 10 minus 2, why we are taking? This is the degree of freedom for this test. So degree of freedom this test will be n minus 2, that means 18. 18 will be the degree of freedom because in each group we have a 10 observations. So 10 plus 10 is equal to 20 and 20 minus 2 is equal to 18. So degree of freedom for this test will be 18. So how to do it? You can see here in 4 steps we have already done. So this is the step number 6. Find the degree of freedom. So how to find out? For student t-test, this is the rules which I have written on red color. For students t-test, we are using n minus 1, and that is the degree of freedom formulas for all the parametric tests. And for the independent t-test, we are taking na minus 1 plus nb minus 1. Here n is representing to sum of group A observations, and nb minus 1, n is representing to number of observation in the group B minus 1, so that we can say the whole formula is NAB minus 2. So 10 plus 10 minus 2 will 18. This we are taking for the uh, independent t-test. So why we have to calculate the degree of freedom? Because we have to compare our t value which we are going to find in the last, and that t value we are going to use in the table to find out the p value, either our test was found significant or not significant. So here we have done the calculation. We got the degree of freedom 18, and for ANOVA we are taking n minus 1. This we can use in the next test which we are going to take today. So in step number 7, we have to look for the table. See, if you proceed with the calculation, uh, we have found the t value that was found to be minus 1.69. So this is the t score which we have calculated through this formula. So math you have to apply. It's a simple calculation only. So this t score which we have got, uh, that is minus 1.69, this we are going to compare with the test value which we are going to take from the table. So we know that degree of freedom for this test is 18. We have a t-score. T-score was found to be minus 1.69, and the confidence interval of the study is 95%. So cutoff point for this study will be 0.05. We are assuming that there will be a 5% error in this test, and alpha level for this test is 5%. So if you find on the table at 18 degree of freedom and the alpha level at 0.05, we are getting 2.10. And how I got this value 2.10? You have to look into a table. I will let you know. See, this is the representation of the table. On the left hand side, you are finding a degree of freedom. It is showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 like this. So we have to see that our degree of freedom is 18. So 18 is the degree of freedom. This we have to see. And on the top, we have a p value 0.05. We are assuming that 95% is the confidence interval for our study, and there will be chances of error 5%. So we are assuming cutoff point as a 0.05. So we have to see on this line where numbers are given, and we have to match with the degree of freedom 18. So if I take 0.05 this line, and from the degree of freedom 18, I'm getting a value called 2.1. 2.10. So this value 2.10 we are going to compare with the value which we have got through the calculation. So I'll take uh, I'll take you back to the previous slide. So this is the calculation, and the t value which we got is minus 1.69. This we are going to compare with the value 2.10. So most of the time the t distribution table is not available in the examination. So what the examiner used to do, they used to write the test value with the question only. They are going to give you a data set of A, they are going to give you a data set of B, and in the bracket they will write that test value is 2.10. So test value will be written if the table is not written, but they will write that test value for alpha level is 2.10. So we have to compare this 1 point minus 1.69 with this 2.0, and what the rules of stat says, and that is the step number 8. The rule of stat says compare the calculated value which we have calculated to the table value. Clear? Now the calculated value of minus 1.69 is less than the cutoff value 2.10 from the table. That means the p-value was found to be less than 0.05, you can say. So whenever you will apply the uh, independent t-test manually, you have to see that whatever the t value you are going to get, it should be less than the test value and the value which you are going to take from the table. So here we got the value uh, less than 2.1. So we can say that okay, p value is greater than the alpha level, and we can conclude that there is a difference between the mean, because whatever the data set we have taken, which contains 10 observation, and data set which contain 10 observations. So by seeing manually, we can see that there is a difference. But if you want to uh, show your results, see here we can see that the mean of first group was 35 and mean of second group was 50. So by seeing with your eyes only, you can see that there is a difference in both the mean. The mean difference of both the groups was found to be 15. So this you can prove by using the statistical test also. So you have to compare your t value with the cutoff value which you are going to take from the table. Clear? So you can write and you can justify your research by comparing the mean of group A and group B, and you can use this formula. Your t is equal to x bar minus 1 and x bar and 2 divided by standard deviation of x bar 1 minus x bar 2. Clear? So x bar 1 is the sample mean of group 1 and x bar 2 is the sample mean of group 2, and this formula which you are seeing at the bottom, that is your standard deviation of both x bar 1 minus x bar 2. Actually you are calculating standard error. This formula is representing standard error, and if you want to calculate the standard error, you can calculate by using the standard deviation of 1 and the 2, group 1 and group 2. So this is the method by which mean you can calculate the mean of both the groups. So we can do it through SPSS software also, where I have added the data. I will let you know how to do it with the SPSS software. Now I'm going to share the screen of SPSS software. So here you can see that I have added the number of variables, and for this particular test I'm going to take gender, and I'm going to take the level of glucose. So data of gender I have entered in the form of male and female. That means I have two different groups. So this is the assumptions for this test. The whenever you are going to apply the independent t-test, it should contains at least two groups, and the value of glucose which you are going to take, it should be written in the form of numbers. So I have entered the data of blood glucose level in the form of number. So how to apply? I'll go once more. Go to analyze, click on compare mean. If you click on compare mean, this window will appear, and in this window you will have a test called independent sample t-test. If you click on independent sample t-test, a window will appear. This window will represents all the variable which we have made for our study. Clear? You can see we have a gender as well as we have a glucose BMI. So glucose will be taken to a, by this icon, this tab, you can take glucose to this side into test variable side. So glucose I have taken on the test variable box, and gender I'm going to take in the grouping variable box. But I have not given the codes. So for that purpose I have to click on the define groups. If I click on define groups, this window will appear. I will write that two codes I'm using. I'm using the code 0 and 1. Clear? And I will click continue and OK. So OK, when I will do, just let me check that output sheet is visible or not. Yeah, this results we are getting. So you can see the same thing I have added in the presentations also, that male we are getting 67, females we are getting 83, mean we have found 5.6 and 5.4 for the male, standard deviation we have got this, and degree of freedom we have to check that either it is n-2 or not. It's showing 148, that is okay, because sample size is 150, and test for Leibniz is value is more than 0.05. Here we got 0.063, and here p value we have got 0.493. So by seeing this p value, we can say that our test was not significant. There is no difference in mean of both the groups, because mean difference was found a very least, that is in decimals, 0.15. So if you have a larger the number of the mean difference, you can say you will find a significant value which is less than 0.05. So like this you can do manually as well as with the help of the SPSS software. And I told you that how to write the results of independent t-test in the form of MLA hand style. So if you have any queries related to independent sample t-test, you can send in the chat box also. I will be happy to answer those queries. Either after 30 seconds I'll going to start another test called one way ANOVA. See, I'm also seeing in the laptop that whatever the screen which I'm going to share is not visible that much. So what I advise, you have to increase the resolution of your video. Go to the settings of YouTube. There is icon of setting, and increase the resolution up to 500 or 600 or 720. So the screen will be visible to all the guys, to all the viewers. So no queries. If you have any queries, you can send by mail to me or by SMS through WhatsApp. I will be happy to answer in tomorrow's session. So we'll take another one. First, I'll give the representation that how to do it with manually. Then we'll go through SPSS, that ANOVA. Clear? ANOVA is the analysis of variance, very common test which will be used by the researchers. and most of the researchers are using this test to compare the means only. Clear? So what are the assumptions for this test? This test will be applicable when your data is normally distributed. And what you are going to do, you are going to compare the mean of different groups. I will give you one example before starting the presentation. For example, you have a 30 student in your class, and you have divided all those 30 students into a groups of 10, 10, 10 each. Clear? And you are using a three different mode of teaching. For example, one is through Blackboard, and second example is through online classes, and third one is through by any other method. Clear? So you want to find out that which method is best amongst method A, method B, and method C. For that purpose, you can apply the test called ANOVA. What you are going to do, you are going to do the analysis of variance. Now here variance means what? Variance means how far a set of number of data which are spread from the your actual line or the diagonal line from the actual value. That means if you have a mean or mean which will be taken as an average value, so how other data sets or other observation are far from the uh, average value is there, so that will be called as a variance. So what we used to do in the compare mean uh, two test, we are going to analyze three different groups. We can use the four groups also or five groups also, but the requirement is that for ANOVA that we should at least have a three different group. And what we are going to do, we are going to compare the mean of group A with mean of group B and mean of group C. So three different means we are going to compare with each other. And what we will see, we should not apply the student t-test three times. For several students used to ask me, sir, why we want to apply the ANOVA if we are comparing the mean? Mean we can compare with the help of student t-test also, and mean we can compare with the uh, independent t-test also. So if you are using to come using one sample t-test to compare the mean three times, so there will be a chances of error 15%, because for each test you are taking a chances of error 5% and confidence interval of 95%. So if you're running three times one sample t-test, so chances of error will be the 15%. So to avoid, to reduce the chances of error in while applying the statistical test, we have to customize a single test only, which will compare all the three means once only. And we should not apply different tests. For example, for group A, I have applied one sample t-test, and for group B, I have again applied one sample t-test, and for group C, again I have applied one sample t-test, and we got the mean. And after that, we are going to compare all these three. So it's not like that. Once only we have to apply the test, and to reduce the chances of error and the type of error which will occur while applying the test, which I'm talking again and again, that confidence interval of the study 95% and chances of error 5%. So chances of error, that will be type 1 error and the alpha error. For this test, I have taken a example of blood glucose level only, and I'm going to use a independent variable called BMI, which is having a three different groups. So the same data set I'm going to use, I'll will have a look. Yeah, one way ANOVA. Actually, ANOVA is classified into two different type. And the first one we used to call as one way ANOVA, and second we used to call as two way. One way is that when we you have to compare a uh, three different groups, but having the population, for example, from the similar group. For example, I'll take the example for that. For example, as I told you that you have a 30 student in your class and you have made a group group of 10, 10, 10 each, and you have made it three different group, and you want to evaluate the method of teaching by Blackboard, by online teaching, and by through other mode. So one way ANOVA will be applicable to this example. But if you want to evaluate that yeah, student are 30 divided into three different groups, but you want to get the results separately for the male and separately for the female, so that will be called as a two-way ANOVA. So here you can see the example here, that you want to find out what was the reading which you have observed in December, and what was the reading which you have observed in the month of March, and one more you can include in the month of January. So you can find out that what was the reading between these 3 months are there. Clear? So assumptions I'm going to take and the hypothesis. Now, as I told you that two different kind of hypotheses we have, the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. The null hypothesis for ANOVA, it says that there is no difference between the groups. That means group A, B, and C, all groups are similar. There is no difference in all the groups. Whereas the alternative hypothesis says there is at least one difference is there between the group A, B, and C. So our aim of this particular test for ANOVA, is to reject the null hypothesis. That means we have to prove that there is a difference in the groups, there is a difference in the mode of teaching, and you can also predict that which type of teaching or which method of teaching is best. So how you are going to do, you are going to take the observation of all those 10, 10, 10 students, you are going to conduct a test, and after the test you are going to take the marks, and you have to calculate the mean of each group, and by comparing the mean you can find out that which method of teaching is best, either through the Blackboard, either through the online, or by any other method, which is the group C, third group. So these are the hypotheses. Null hypothesis says that no difference between the group, and alternative hypothesis says that there is at least one difference in uh, group are there. So what are the assumptions? You can apply ANOVA only if the numerical variable which you are going to take, for example, I'm going to take the blood glucose level for this one as a dependent variable. The dependent variable should be normally distributed. You have to apply the test for the normality distribution before applying the ANOVA, and you have to see that distribution is normal or not. If distribution is normal, you can go for ANOVA. Otherwise you have to take the alternative of ANOVA, that is Kruskal-Wallis test, which we will take in the further classes. So assumption one more, we have, there should be uh, equality of variance of all the groups. That means while applying the test, you should have given equal weightage to all the three groups, group A, B, and C. For example, here I am going to take the three different groups of BMI. One group is your normal BMI, one is your below average, and third group is your obese person. So like this I have made the three different group, and I was trying to find out that is there any difference in the blood glucose level of three different type of populations of VMI or not. Clear? So one more assumption we have, that if you are taking a numerical variable for the ANOVA, that should be given in the form of scale type, not the ordinal type. Ordinal type you cannot apply the ANOVA. It should be the scale type. It means whatever the numbers you are going to enter in the SPSS sheet. For example, I have taken for the blood glucose level. It should have the any kind of measurement, either in centimeter, either in height, either in mmHg for the blood pressure, or millimole, like that. So we are going to compare the mean by this test. Clear? And I told you about the difference between the one way ANOVA and second way. One way ANOVA means you are going to compare the three different groups, but if you will add a one more factor in the group. For example, you want to do it separately for the male student, separately for the female student. So then the test will be called as two-way ANOVA. Here you can see in the picture, this is the two-way ANOVA, and here I have written the assumptions. That means one group we have A, B, and C, but we want to see that in group A, how many are female are there, how many males are there. So one factor we are including in the groups. So this will be called as two-way ANOVA. So both we will do one by one. So first I'll take the one-way ANOVA. See, actually the calculation for the two-way ANOVA is too huge. You can do it directly through the SPSS software. If I want to do it manually, it will take 2 hours for me. So I'll just go for the one-way ANOVA. So in one-way ANOVA, what we are going to do, we are going to compare the means which are more than 2. So ANOVA tell us about the significant difference between the groups, that group A, B, and C. Is there any difference in the mean of these groups or not? If mean of these groups are different, we can say that our test is significant. Otherwise, we will say that test is non-significant. So assumptions which I have taken, that independent variable consists of two or more categorical group, like this. For this test I have taken the BMI, and BMI I have divided into 3 different groups. Dependent variable should be scale order. I have written interval or ratio, which is the same, and dependent variable should be normally distributed. If dependent variable is not normally distributed, you cannot apply the test called ANOVA. You have to go for the non-parametric test, which is Kruskal-Wallis test. Clear? This is the formula for ANOVA. F is equal to MST divided by MSE. Here F is the ANOVA coefficient. We used to call the F is the sign for ANOVA, and MST represents to mean sum of square due to treatment, and mean sum of error scared of error due to error. So by using this formula, or if you open the book, in the books it was written MSW or MSB. So W is representing to within, and B is representing to within. So it's the same thing only. Some author have used MST and some have used the MSW, like that only. So I'm going to use the example of within and between instead of treatment and error group. So first we will do manually, that how to do it. The 7 steps we have to follow for applying the one-way ANOVA. First test is to state the hypothesis for the test. Now suppose we have a 3 independent population. As I told you that we have a 30 student in our class, and we have divided all those 30 students into group of 10, 10, 10 each, and we want to find out that which method of teaching is best. So group A, we are going to teach through Blackboard. Group B, we are going to teach through online system, and group C, we are adopting any other method of teaching like objective type questions and so on. So after that we will conduct an exam. Whatever the score will be obtained by the student, that we are going to calculate the mean, and mean will be compared with each other. So uh, like this we can do. So if you want to test the hypothesis for our test, we have to write the null hypothesis, and null hypothesis for this test is this one, that mean of one group is equivalent to mean of second group, and mean of both group are equal to third group. That means h naught is mu1 is equal to mu2 is equal to mu3. Here mu1 is group A, mu2 is group B, and mu3 is the group C. So we are going to compare these 3 groups, and null hypothesis says that all these 3 group are similar. So the aim of the test is to reject the null hypothesis, and we are going to prove that there is a difference, at least one difference is there between these groups A, B, and C. So alternative hypothesis we can write in such a way. I have written the null hypothesis on the top, and at bottom you can see I have written the null hypothesis that mean of group 1 is not equivalent to mean of group 2, which is not equivalent to mean of group 3, and so on. So if you have a multiple groups, you can write 4, 5, 6. If you have 5 groups, so like this, you have to write mu 5 times. So null hypothesis says that all groups are same, no difference in the group. That means non-significant. Alternative hypothesis says that group are not similar. There is a difference in the mean of each the groups. At least one difference is there. So test is significant. So to justify, I'm taking a very small example so that we can calculate the mean and the standard deviation very easily. Uh, Three groups I have made, as I told you, that enroll 10 students in the class. Now forget that example. Now come to this one, that we are taking a 3 student in each group. That means we have a group A, we have a 3 students, we have a group B, we have a 3 students, and group C, we have a 3 students. So for example, if you are a pharmacology person, you can assume that these are 3 different drugs. For example, if you are a pharmaceutics background, you can assume that these are 3 different formulation, and these are the reading of disintegration time, or these are the reading of the your minutes, RPM, viscosity, or whatever. So if a pharmacology person can take that these are the death time of the animals if they want to evaluate the drug. So three different groups are we have, and each group is having a three readings. So by taking this example, I'm going to do the test ANOVA. So in step one, what we have to do? Step one, we have to state the null hypothesis, which I have already done. In step two, we have to calculate the degree of freedom. In degree of freedom, three different formulas we are using in ANOVA. We, as I told you, that instead of treatment and error, I am going to use the between, within, and total. So for each group, you have to calculate these three things. For example, we have a three different groups A, B, and C. So for whatever the steps I'm going to take, step 3, 4, and 5, we have to calculate between, within, and total for all the three groups separately. Then we can proceed for the manual calculation of ANOVA. So degree of freedom between is k minus 1. That is the formula. And degree of freedom within is n minus k. And degree of freedom total is degree of freedom within plus degree of freedom between, which we have got here. Whatever the numbers you are going to get, that if you do the sum of these two, you are going to get a total. So total is representing to combination of between and within together. So how to do it? Now, what is K and what is N? K is the number of groups which we have used. The number of groups is A, B, and C. That means we are using a three number of groups, and N is the number of observation. That means a total number of observations are 9, and in each group we will have a 3 observation. So and now, what is the use of calculating this degree of freedom? Like in the previous test, we have calculated the degree of freedom, and the value of degree of freedom we have used in the T distribution table to find out the value from the table, and that value we are going to compare with the calculated value. So tabulated value can be taken from the table, and calculated value which we have calculated. So these two value we have to compare. So degree of freedom also we are going to use for the table purpose. Clear? So we know that if you are going to calculate the degree of freedom for this one, we know that we have a 3 minus 1. That means if you want to calculate the degree of freedom, that is 3 minus 1. We have found 2. So this will be taken as a numerator, because if you see the table of ANOVA, instead of x-axis and y-axis, we will have a numerator and denominator. So numerator and denominator we are going to use to find out the test value in the table. So 2 for this test, 2 will be taken as a numerator, and if we have calculated the degree of freedom within, that is n minus k. So n is your 9 observation total. We have 9 observation, so 9 minus 6, sorry, it's not 6, it should be 3. So equivalent to 6. So make it this one as a 3, because we have a 3 groups. So degree of freedom total, if you want to find out, so we will do sum of these two. 2 plus 6 will be the 8. So we have found the degree of freedom between, that is 2, degree of freedom within, that is 6, and degree of freedom total, that is 8. So after calculating the degree of freedom, we'll come to the third step, but I'll just show the table to you that where we are going to use this degree of freedom in the form of numerator and the denominator. You can see this is the table of ANOVA. We used to call F critical value table. In the table, on the top, numerator is given. This is your numerator, and this one is the denominator. Clear? And we note that the nominator we have found 6, and nominator we have found 2. So we have to follow this row of 2, and 6 of this one. So this one we are going to use, and we know that our p value for this test cutoff point is 0.05. So I'll see that which value is given in front of 0.05. See, I'll repeat again. Numerator is given on the top, numerator on the top, and denominator is given on the side, denominator 1 2 3 4. And we know that uh, numerator which we have found, it was 2, so we will follow the row of column of 2, and we'll see in front of 6 denominator how much is the value. So this is the column which is representing to 2 numerator and 6 denominator, and it is giving a different confidence interval of the studies. We know that we have taken 0.05 as a cutoff point, because confidence interval of the study is 95%. So in front of 0.05 we have a value 5.14. So this 5.14 will be taken as a test value. This 5.14 will be taken as a test value, by which mean we are going to compare our results. Clear? So as I told you, 7 steps are there. We have already completed 2 steps for ANOVA. We have stated our hypothesis. We have calculated the degree of freedom. Degree of freedom can be calculated by using this formula. This formula you have to remember, that degree of freedom between is k minus 1, degree of freedom within is n minus k, and total is the sum of both. Clear? So we have got 2 and 6, and with you, by using numerator and denominator, we got the f value, that is 5.14, which we are going to compare. And for examination point of view, f distribution table is not available in the examination hall. So what the examiner is going to do, they are going to give you a example like this, a, b, and c, which contain observation, and they are going to give you a value like this. By using f table at alpha level, uh, 0.05, test value is 5.41 or 14, whatever. It's clear? So like this test value they are going to give you in the question paper. So this test value you have to compare with the value of f which you are going to calculate. So when you are going to compare the value, you are going to get the results of the ANOVA. So I told you that how to get the critical f value, and this, the value which we have taken from the table, is called as critical f value, and the value which you are going to calculate, f value, is called as tabulated value. That means the tabulated value you are going to compare with the critical value. Clear? So we have got this value from the table. Now I'll directly come to the step 4. Step 4 for the ANOVA is calculate the sum of squared deviation. That means the formula is x bar is equal to sum of x I divided by n. Here I is representing to each observation. Here I is representing to each observation. That means if we have a 9 observation, you have to run this formula 9 times. How to do it? Sum of observation divided by number of sample. Spelling mistake. Instead of f I have written d. Sorry for that. So to calculate the sum of squared deviation, how to do it? Mean of each group you have to calculate. For example, we have 3 different groups, group A, B and C. We have to calculate the what is the mean of A, what is the mean of B and what is the mean of C. So mean of A is 2. I have already calculated. The mean of group B is 3.33 and mean of group C is 2. Clear? So x bar A is representing to group A, x bar B is representing to group B, and x bar C is representing to group C. So grand mean we have to calculate, and formula for the grand mean is sum of all the 3 groups divided by number of, it's not observation, it's groups. Clear? So we will do mean of all the groups is 2 plus 3.33 plus 2 is equal to total value we have got. Grand mean is 7.33 and grand mean we are going to divide with the total number of group, that is the 3. Instead of observation you have to write here groups. So we have got the grand mean, that is 2.44. So we have got the grand mean, which is the mean of all the 3 groups. Clear? So we got the value 2.44. So in step 4, how to do it? A huge calculation, you can do it manually also. What you have to do, a simple rule is there. You have to remember this formula. You have to calculate the total, you have to calculate the within, and if you have the value of total and within, you can calculate the ss between yours, like this only, because the formula for ss between is total minus within. Clear? So how to do it? I will just take one line because a huge calculation. So by giving one example, I will switch to step 5. This is the formula for ss total, the sum of x minus grand mean and square root. X, we know x is the value of 3. This 3 we have used in the x, and the grand mean which we have calculated in step previous step, that is 2.44. So this 2.44 which we have calculated, this will be used in the steps. So each observation you have to reduce from the 2.44 and you have to do the square of that. So you can see here in the first group A, we have 3 observation. One is 3, 1 and 2. So I have taken the 3, I have taken a 1 and I have taken a 2 minus 2.44 and the square of this. So like this, this is for group A, this is for group B and this is for group C, and you are going to get a SS total, that is 12.22. Clear? The same thing if you want to calculate the within. So instead of grand mean, what you are going to do, you are going to take the mean of each group. See, in the SS total, we have reduced the observation from the grand mean, but here we are going to reduce the actual observation from the group mean. So 3 minus 2, here 2 is representing to mean of group A, and if you can see 5 minus 3.33, here 5 is this one, that is the observation of B, and this 3.33 is the mean of group B. Clear? So like this you can follow and you can calculate the SS within, and we have got 8.66 and For to calculate the SS between, we have to reduce the both value. 12.22 minus 8.66, we have got the 3.55. So we will have the value of SS total, we have a value of SS within, and we have a value of SS between, and SS here represents sum of squared deviation. So sum of squared deviation will be calculated for within also, between also, and the total also. If you have calculated for total and within, you are going to get for the between, like this. So very simple calculation. Just what you have to do, just see the formulas properly. You have to remember the formula which I have written in the red color. So in step 5, we are going to calculate the mean sum of squared for between, within, and total. Clear? So formula for the MS mean sum of squared between is SS between, which we have calculated, is going to divide with the degree of freedom between, which I have already calculated. So I know that SS between is 3.55 divided by 2, which is the degree of freedom, and we got the value 1.77. Like this, we have to calculate the within also. The formula for MS mean of sum squared within is SS within divided by degree of freedom within, and we are going to get a reading, that is 1.44. So like this, you will get MS between and MS within, and all these things which you are going to calculate in step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all these things you have to add in a final formula, which is the MST divided by MSB. And you can see that divide the mean of squared for between by mean of squared for within, and you are going to get the value of F, like 1.77 divided by 1.44, I got 1.23. So here I have calculated the value of F, value of ANOVA, which is 1.23. So this critical value I'm going to compare with the value which I have taken from the table, and we have to see that how to find out the results for the this calculation. Now formula says what, rule of stat says what, if calculated F value is less than the critical or tabulated value, we reject the null hypothesis. That means our F value is less than the tabulated value. Tabulated value which we have taken from the table was 5 point something, and here we are getting a 1.23. So our value is less than the value which we have taken from the table. So we can say we are able to reject the we will reject the null hypothesis, and results of the test, we can say it was found significant because p value was found to be less than uh, here p value is more than 0.05, because test was found not significant. I will let you know that how to do it with the SPSS software. I will share the screen of software. First, let me check that I'm using the same sheet. See, in the presentation, you are going to find that which sheet I'm using. I have written a data sets for that also. Let me check. Not this sheet. Let me check. Let me open the sheet which I have used for ANOVA. Uh, I'm not finding it. Just I will explain like this only. I'll let you know that how to apply. Let me share the screen. See, if you want to apply the ANOVA through SPSS, you should have a two different variables. For example, BMI, which I have taken here. See here, BMI, which I have entered, is given in the form of numbers. So directly, I cannot apply the BMI test ANOVA because I want to find out the mean glucose level, and here is the glucose level. So to these two different columns, I am going to apply the ANOVA test. But you can see here all the value which I have entered for the BMI and the value which I have entered for the glucose is given in the form of numbers only. So you have to convert your BMI into a groups. For that, you have to apply a command for a transformation. I will let you know how to do it. Go to transform and click on record into different variables. If you click on different variable, you have to add the BMI because BMI data which we have entered is given in the form of number. So we are going to convert the numerical data into a categorical data where we will have a three different groups of the BMI. So I will give the new name BMI cat and label BMI cat 1. BMI, I'll take double T. Clear? So to convert the data, which is given in the form of number, into a categorical data, you have to click on the, first, I'll repeat again. First, go to transform, option called transform, then click into record into different variable, because otherwise the data which you have entered in the form of numbers, that will be converted into category and you will not have the previous data which is given in the form of number. So we are going to make another variable which will convert the data into in the form of category. So click on odd and new value, and here you have to give the values. For example, one, one I'm writing value one is just uh, let me check. Value one to, for example, minimum I'm taking 18.5, 18 to, this is one, 18. It's not working. Let me have a look. What's the problem? I'll repeat again. Record into same variable. I'll move the BMI ranges. Yeah, ranges you have to click. You are going to give a ranges. One value I am going to give 0 to 18. That means any person having BMI 0 to 18 will be called as group 1. Group 2 will be called any person having BMI between 18.1 to 25. This will be called as group 2. And 3, any person having BMI 25.1 to, you can write maximum value. I write 40, no problem. Okay, and click continue and okay. So you can see here this whatever the value which I have entered for the BMI is converted into a 1 to 3. Previously reading was 24.5, 18.5, something like that. So now reading has been converted into 3, 1 and 2, something like that. Codes has been given. So what you have to do, you have to go to a variable view. In the variable view, go to BMI and give the value labels. Give 1 to normal, okay, person having normal BMI, that means up to 18. 2 to not normal, I will take less BMI, less BMI to 1. 2 will take the value for just, I'm not exact value as per the WHO, I'm just giving the values for the education purpose only. 2 I have taken normal, and 3 means any person having high BMI, or we'll call this person obese. Okay, and click OK and come to the data view. In data view, you can see that whatever the data we have entered in the form of numbers, actual BMI, now converted into a different groups. Patients having high BMI, we have a normal, and we have a obese, like that. Clear? Now we are ready for the ANOVA test, because ANOVA test says that I'll check the value level also. BMI, now this is not scale order, this is a your nominal order, because we have a 3 characters. See, in SPSS software, you can check the variables by using the icons also. The icon which you are seeing right now in the BMI, along with BMI, 3 different dots are there and given in the colors. So these 3 dots in 3 different color are representing 2 category. But for the glucose, this unit is having a measurement. Clear? So now we are ready for the ANOVA, because in dependent variable we have data in the form of number, and data is normally distributed. I have already checked. So, and independent variable is categorical, and we have category more than 2. One is less BMI, normal, and high BMI. So I'll click on analyze, which is the command for ANOVA. I'll go to compare mean. In compare mean, we have a one-way ANOVA. Click on one-way ANOVA. Now, what to do? Dependent list box. We know that dependent variable is our glucose. I'll move glucose here, and BMI, which we have made the groups, I will take as a factor. But before proceeding to the ANOVA, we have to choose some options. First of all, click to contrast to choose anything. Then click to post hoc. In post hoc, you have to suggest, you have to see that according to which scientist formula you have to apply the ANOVA. Two most common are there. One is Tokay and second one is Dunnet. So as per Tokay, we will proceed the test, and we'll get the reading for the it was just only for the 2K only we will proceed, because otherwise the calculation will be too long, and for you guys difficult to understand. I'll click OK, and I will check that what is the significance level of my study. If confidence interval is 95%, cutoff point is 0.05. We have to check. Software will take by default 0.05, but if you want to change, you can change. Click continue. The most important step is option. If you click on option, here you have to choose that which kind of data you want to generate through this test. First of all, we have to click on descriptive. That descriptive statistics we need. We need the fixed and random effect also. We want to find out the test for homogeneity, that we were eligible for the ANOVA or not, and we want to see the plot also, graph, and click OK. If we have completed with all the formalities, I'll repeat again. In post hoc, click on 2K, continue. In option, click on these: descriptive, fixed and random effect, homogeneity, Welch, and mean plot, and click continue and OK. So it is going to give a data to you. Now I think sheet is not visible, so I will share the output sheet of ANOVA. So these results I have got. You can see here the first table is representing what? The first table is representing that how many number of patient was there in all the groups. Clear? See, whatever the coding I have given, 25 to 40 for the third group. So that reading was not there in the sheet. So here we are finding a only two groups. Clear? So software have shown the error, and it is showing that post hoc tests are not performed for glucose because there was fewer than the three groups, because uh, groups are less than three, so we cannot apply ANOVA, but still calculation was done by the software. So I will explain like this only. So what is going to give you? It will give the uh, value to you. For example, how many person who was normal, having the normal BMI, it has shown that 49. How many person having high BMI and under the obese group, it is saying 101. So total of both the group was found to be 150. If we have a third group, which I have written that less than 18.5, that is not there, and the data was not entered in the sheet, so it has not shown to you. And second thing, it will give you the mean. That mean of first group was found to be 4.9 and 5.8, and the standard deviation. Clear? The second table will be the, say, out of first table you have to take only three things. That is the mean, standard deviation, and the n, that is the number, frequencies. So remaining you can directly delete by using the double click. A table will be activated, like this you can do, and you can click delete. So whatever we will keep only those observation which we require. So we have got the n, we got the mean, we got the standard deviation. Now second table is representing which is test for homogeneity. Like in previous test, we got the reading of Leibniz test. Here we are getting a reading of the test for homogeneity. Now why this table will be used? This table will be used to see that either we were eligible to apply the ANOVA or not. That means our data was homogeneous or not. We have given the equality to all the three groups or not. Clear? So this test reading should be more than 0.05. If it is more than 0.05, we can proceed for the ANOVA. Otherwise, we are not eligible to apply the ANOVA. So here we are getting, I'm getting 0.002. That means I was not eligible for the ANOVA because only two groups are mentioning. The reading of third group was not entered in the sheet. Clear? So whatever you are seeing right now, as per this test, I should not apply ANOVA, but still we have applied, so I will proceed with the calculation. This is the ANOVA table that which we have to take into our thesis. This will represents the degree of freedom, mean of sum square, sum of squared, value of f, and the significant value. So all these things which we have calculated manually are given by the software. It is giving the value of between also, and it is giving the value of within, as well as the value of total. So all the things which we are taking with this one are available. So we have to see that what was the value of significant value in the ANOVA table. It should be less than 0.05. You can assume that your test is significant, and there is a difference in all the three groups which we have made. Otherwise, you can say that if your p-value is ANOVA table value is more than 0.05, you can say that you are not able to reject the null hypothesis, and test was found non-significant. The software is going to give you the graph also. It is showing the trend that mean of glucose level on y-axis, and on x-axis you can see we have two groups, normal and the high BMI, and it is showing that if the BMI of the person increases, the mean level of glucose of the person is also increasing. And in the further classes, I will let you know that how to adjust the table uh, in the SPSS software, because whatever the table and the graphs we are getting here directly, they cannot be, we cannot put in the thesis directly. You can copy, but you have to customize this table so it looks better, it's look good, it's look feasible for the uh, to your eyes, as well as according to the guidelines of journals. Even I'm going to discuss one plagiarism software in the further classes, and one online website which will help you out to make the research paper. You don't have to study the guidelines given by the journals. If I'm talking about guidelines, it means the author's guidelines. Directly you have to add your data into a online software. Your data will be converted into a manuscript form, and that will be converted as per the journal's guidelines. Okay, which font journal has recommended, uh, in how many words should be written in abstract, what was the pixels of the picture in the graphs which we are taking. All these things will be taken care by the software only, and you don't have to study a 10 or 15 pages guidelines given by the journal house, which is called as author's instructions. So directly you can log in into a website with your account, choose the journal, whatever. For example, if I want to publish a paper in European Journal of Clinical Pharmacy, I will write European Journal of Clinical Pharmacy, and I will upload a sample sheet, and it will convert my manuscript into a journal guidelines, and then I can download, and then afterwards we can send to uh, journal for the publication. And one more thing, one reference software called Mendeley, that how to use referencing software Mendeley, that we also I'll take in the further classes. So if I forgot, just remind me. So like this, we have to proceed. I'll close this one, and just I'll show the last slide to you. That today's last slide, that how to write the results of ANOVA in APA format. This is a. Let me share the screen. You can take a screenshot of this one. See, this example I have taken: normal, obese, and overweight for three different kind of population, and this is the method by which mean I have converted the numerical data into categorical data. You can screenshot, you can take the screenshot of this one. So to convert your data from numerical into a categorical, and how we did one way ANOVA. See, uh, the presentation which I have made for one way ANOVA, I'll repeat tomorrow morning also, but in a shorter time. I'll just take 10 minutes for the ANOVA, so that the test will be repeated, and for all those person, those who have missed the lecture. And I will explain that that time only, that how to write the results of ANOVA. And these are the guidelines that how to write the results. So when I'll take the presentation tomorrow for one way ANOVA through transform and visual binding, we can proceed. So this is for all the viewers. I'm done with the today's lecture, and if you have any comments, any questions, any queries, you can call me. You can send your queries by email, by WhatsApp to me. I will happy to answer tomorrow. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you. Thanks a lot.